if I told you that the very virtue you've been praised for, the very one you wear with pride, is the same one slowly destroying your power? They told you to be humble. They told you to stay quiet, to lower your voice, to keep your head down, to let your work speak for itself, to never brag, to never own your victories, to never make others uncomfortable with your shine. They sold you humility as if it were a crown, but in truth, it was a muzzle. Niccolo Machiavelli, one of the most misunderstood minds in the history of political strategy. He didn't write The Prince for the weak-hearted. He didn't write it for the polite. He wrote it for those who dare to rise. And what did he say? It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But here's the catch. The humble man is neither feared nor loved. He is ignored. Every time you stay silent, every time you let others take your credit, every time you downplay your role, your brilliance, your strength, you think you're being mature. You think you're being noble. You think humility is virtue. But let me break something to you. That's not virtue. That's self-erasure. You are slowly vanishing. And the world does not reward what it cannot see. You were taught to hide your fangs, to make yourself palatable, to be approachable. But what happens to a lion that never shows its teeth? It gets mistaken for a sheep. And worse, it starts to believe it is one. Understand this. Modern humility has been rebranded into something poisonous. It's not the calm confidence of a man in control. It's the performance of smallness, so no one feels threatened by your power. And who benefits from that? Certainly not you. They benefit. The ones who rise while you stay invisible, the ones who speak loudly while you whisper, the ones who claim what you built because you were too humble to take credit. They told you not to shine. Why? Because your light made them squint. Your edge made them uncomfortable. Your dominance made them feel inferior. So they weaponized your humility. They taught you to leash yourself. Let me give you a picture. Two generals. One speaks with certainty, cold eyes, unshakable strategy. He doesn't ask for validation. He names the plan. He owns the outcome. The other, measured, kind. Talks of luck, chance, modesty. Guess which one commands respect? It's not the humble one. Because respect, real respect, is born from certainty, not civility. You were taught that being modest would make you respected, but they forgot to tell. From the day you were born, they began shaping you, not into who you are, but into who they needed you to be. The good boy, the polite student, the modest worker, the team player. But what they never told you is that all of these were chains, wrapped in praise, fastened with expectations. You were taught that standing out was wrong, that confidence was arrogance, that owning your gifts made others uncomfortable. And so you learned to shrink, to downplay, to apologize for the very things that made you exceptional. This wasn't an accident, it was programming. Because the moment you realize your worth, you become ungovernable. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop working for less. You stop begging for validation. And the system can't use you anymore. Modesty is no longer just a virtue. It's a weapon, used against strong men to make them doubt their own strength, to keep them waiting, while others less capable leap ahead. You think that staying quiet earns you respect. It doesn't. In today's world, silence isn't power. It's permission. Permission for them to ignore you, to overlook you, to replace you. Ask yourself, when did confidence become a crime? When did speaking clearly become too much? When did owning your gifts start making people uncomfortable? It happened the moment they realized you might not need their approval. That's when they called you cocky, too ambitious, intimidating, because a man who sees himself clearly is a man they can't control. You've been fed a lie, that every voice is equal, that no one should take up too much space. But reality doesn't work like that. Some voices command rooms, others barely echo. And the difference? It's not talent, it's not timing, it's not luck, it's the willingness to own the damn room. You had the better idea, the sharper skill, the deeper insight. But he spoke louder, more confidently, without apology. And that's all it took. Not because he was better, but because he refused to be unseen. You've been told to wait, to let your work speak, to trust that good things come to those who are patient. That's a fairy tale, a bedtime story for men they want to keep soft. Good things don't come to the patient. They come to the relentless, the assertive, the ones who stop asking for permission to matter. This isn't just a mindset. It's a strategy of control baked into every part of your life. Schools reward the obedient. Jobs promote the non-threatening. Society praises those who ask for less. Because if you never ask, they never have to give. It's a game, and the rules are rigged. The ones who win aren't the ones who did the most. They're the ones who made the world believe they deserved it. And the truth? You probably deserve more than you've ever claimed. But because you were told modesty is moral, you surrendered your crown with a smile. So let's be clear. This isn't about arrogance. Arrogance is when you pretend to be more than you are. But power is when you own who you are, without apology. You don't need to shout, you don't need to step on others, but you damn sure need to stand up. Because in a world built on noise, only the bold are heard. Modesty may feel noble, but nobility without visibility is just martyrdom. And you weren't born to be a martyr. You were born to move nations, to shift rooms when you speak, to leave footprints, not apologies, to be remembered, not tolerated. They want you silent. They want you agreeable. They want you nice. Because when you're nice, you don't ask, you don't demand, you don't claim. But that ends here. No more false humility. No more quiet greatness. It's time to reclaim your voice and use it like the weapon it was always meant to be. In the next part, we'll shatter another illusion. That skill alone will make you rise. Will expose how the world rewards visibility, volume, and certainty over merit. And how you can flip the script and start commanding the recognition you've always deserved. Don't stay invisible. Step into the fire. Here's the bitter truth you were never meant to hear. The world doesn't reward the best. It rewards the boldest, not the most talented, not the most hard-working, not the most morally righteous, but the one who dares to claim the throne, before anyone else realizes it's even up for grabs. History is not a museum of modest men. It's a monument to those who declared their greatness, long before anyone believed them. Because when it comes to power, perception always precedes proof. They don't follow you because you're right. They follow you because you sound like you're right. You've seen it 1,000 times. Someone with less talent, less knowledge, less experience, but more volume, more certainty, more presence. They win, not because they're better, but because they understood the secret. Visibility is power. Let's crush the fairy tale, the one you were sold in school, in work, in life, that if you just worked hard, if you just kept your head down, if you were a good man, eventually someone would notice, someone would reward you. But here's the reality. You're not in a meritocracy. You're in a visibility contest. And if they don't see you, they don't value you. You can be the best in the world. But if no one knows your name, you might as well not exist. Your greatness doesn't live in your talent. It lives in your positioning, your narrative, your presence. You've been conditioned to believe that loud equals fake. But ask yourself this: is silence really more honest, or is it just fear in disguise? When you refuse to own your excellence, you create space for someone else to sell their mediocrity in its place. That's the game. Not fairness, not justice, just framing. And the ones who frame themselves best rise the fastest. Let's talk power mechanics. Here's the brutal hierarchy. Confidence beats competence. Loud beats qualified. Bold beats prepared. Because confidence hijacks perception. And perception becomes reality. It's not about lying. It's about refusing to play small. Because the loud don't win by being dishonest. They win by being undeniable. Machiavelli knew this in the 1500s. Nothing's changed. People judge what they see, and what they see is what you show them. So if you show hesitation, they see weakness. If you downplay your power, they assume you have none. Visibility creates curiosity. Certainty creates trust. Presence creates momentum. You don't have to scream, but you have to show up. You have to make noise. You have to take up space. If not, you're not just ignored. You're erased. You think the crown is given? It's not. It's taken. You think greatness is discovered? It's not. It's broadcast. You rise not by being the best, but by convincing the world that you belong at the top. That's how power works. It follows the man who walks like he already has it. Your talent will never speak if you keep silencing yourself. Your greatness will never shine if you hide behind humility. The world doesn't owe you recognition. It rewards those who command attention. You can resent it, or you can learn to play it. Because until you do, you'll keep watching lesser men rise, while you wait quietly, righteously, invisibly. So what do? You claim space. You speak clearly. You stop qualifying your brilliance with words like, maybe, I could be wrong, but just my opinion. You eliminate softness in your tone. You remove apology from your posture. You speak like the room was built around your voice, because when you sound like power, people listen, even if they don't know why. Here's the shift. You don't become louder to be liked. You become louder to be heard, not for ego, not for show, but because you understand this law. Power is perception, and perception begins the moment you stop hiding. In next part, we're exposing the machine, the systems that trained you to stay quiet, and who benefits from your invisibility. If you've ever felt like the rules were rigged, that's because they are. Now it's time to learn how to break them. They didn't just ask you to be humble. They trained you to be invisible. They took your voice and called it manners. They dulled your edges and called it politeness. They silenced your fire and called it maturity. But let's call it what it really is: control. From the moment you could speak, you were taught to tone it down. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't brag. Don't challenge. Don't act like you're better than anyone. And if you ever showed signs of power, confidence, certainty, ambition, they didn't praise it. They punished it. They made you feel like your brightness was rude, that owning your gifts was dangerous, that wanting more than average made you greedy. But that wasn't for your benefit. It was to keep you manageable, predictable, contained. Because a man with confidence is a threat. He stops asking for permission. He starts making moves. And the system, it hates that. This training is everywhere. At home, they tell you to obey, not question, to fit in, not stand out. At school, they reward silence. They grade you on how well you follow instructions, not how boldly you think. At work, They promote the safe one, the guy who smiles, nods, never pushes back. And what do they call the man who speaks his mind? Difficult, arrogant, too much. They told you to be humble. Let your work speak for itself. Stay in your lane. Be grateful you even have a seat at the table. But guess what? While you were staying in your lane, they were building empires in theirs. While you were waiting to be noticed, they were taking credit. While you were keeping your head down, they were stepping on your back to climb. This is the game. And humility? It's a tactic to keep you from playing it. They don't want you powerful. They want you polite. Because polite men don't negotiate. Polite men don't challenge the structure. Polite men don't lead revolutions. The system doesn't need to cage you. If it can convince you to cage yourself, you learn to shrink, to avoid attention, to not rock the boat. Because every time you did step forward, someone slapped your hand, mocked you, punished you, until you decided it's safer to stay small. But here's the truth. Safe is slow death. Safe is forgotten. You thought loyalty would be rewarded. You thought patience would be noticed. You thought humility would earn you power. It doesn't. It earns you silence, obscurity, and regret. Every system has a vested interest in your submission. Governments, corporations, even families. Because as long as you play small, they stay comfortable. But the second you demand more, suddenly you're the problem. No one taught you to. Speak like a leader. Present like a king. Think like a strategist. Act like your name belongs in history books. Because that would have made you dangerous, untouchable, free. And free men don't serve quietly. They build, they challenge, they reshape the world. But here's the good news. What was trained into you can be untrained. You weren't born small. You were made small. And now it's time to break the mold. Step one is seeing the script and rejecting it. You don't need to wait to be picked. You don't need to apologize for wanting more. You don't need to stay quiet to be good. You need to remember who you were before the world told you to shut up. You were bold, curious, unfiltered, fearless. That wasn't immaturity. That was raw potential. Because once you wake up, really wake up, you stop following, you stop waiting, you start building your own power. And once you do that, you can't be used, you can't be managed. You become what they feared from the start. Unstoppable. This isn't about being loud for attention. This is about being so clear in who you are that the world can no longer ignore you. No more false humility. No more waiting in line. No more shrinking to fit their comfort. You're not here to serve silently. You're here to command your legacy. Next, we're going deeper. If the system trained you to be powerless, then how do you train yourself to be powerful? We'll break the identity myths, and we'll build the habits, mindset, and posture of a man who no longer waits, but takes. Look closely. That reflection? It's not you. It's who the world trained you to be. Conditioned, tamed, quiet, safe. But deep down, beneath the hesitation, there's something else. Something older. Something untouched by fear. Power. Every man walks with two selves. The crafted self, shaped by culture, parents, teachers, jobs, and the core self, shaped by fire, instinct, and hunger. Most men only ever live as the crafted self. Why? Because it's easier. It's rewarded. It's safe. But safety is the enemy of power. You want to reclaim your power? It starts by breaking the identity you were given, because who you believe you are is exactly who you will act like. So let's be brutally honest. You've been programmed to play the background, to be the support, never the center, to downplay everything great about yourself. And over time, you began to believe the lie. This is just who I am. I'm not that type of person. I'm not a leader. I'm not meant for more. Wrong. You're not meant for more. You were trained not to want it. What you believe about yourself was installed like software. Every insult, every rejection, every label. You're shy. You're difficult. You're not leadership material. You're too intense. They weren't observations. They were commands, and your brain accepted them until they became your story. But the story is editable. The script is yours now. You want power? Reclaim authorship of your own identity. Write this in stone. I am not who they told me I am. I am who I decide to become. This isn't self-help fluff. This is war, and the battlefield is internal. If you want to rewire your identity, it takes ritual, repetition, precision, discipline, because nothing changes without new action. Nothing sticks without repetition. Let's talk tools. Power starts in your voice, not just in what you say, but in how you say it. Train your tone to cut through noise. Speak slower, with certainty, with intention. Practice alone. Record yourself. Repeat powerful lines. I don't ask for permission. I build. I take. I lead. I am not a man who apologizes for existing. Your posture speaks before you do. Slouch, and they see weakness. Stand tall, and they feel you. Back straight, chest open, eye contact unbroken. Your body is a message. I belong wherever I stand. Clothing is psychology. Style is strategy. Dress like the man you are becoming, not the one you're trying to escape. You don't need to be rich to look powerful. You need to be intentional. Every piece you wear should answer one question. Would I take this man seriously? Listen to your words. Do you constantly say, I think, I'm not sure, but, sorry, just wanted to ask? Delete them. These are the whispers of a man who doubts himself. Speak with finality, with presence, with command. Because when your words shift, your identity follows. You can't train power in a powerless environment. So audit your surroundings. Are you around men who speak life into you, or men who mock your ambition? You become what you're surrounded by. Your circle is either your armor or your anchor. Choose carefully. Because staying near small minds will keep you in a small life. Everything around you must affirm your new identity. Your room, your books, your calendar, your language, your rituals. Each one is a brick in the empire of you, and when you stack enough of them, your self-image begins to shift. Not in theory, in practice. You want to walk in power? Kill the version of you that was trained to serve. Mourn him. Thank him for surviving, then leave him behind. You're not here to be liked. You're here to lead, to build, to conquer. You don't need to fake power. You need to reclaim it, because it was always there. Beneath the fear, beneath the shame, beneath the false humility. That spark that made people uncomfortable, it's time to turn it into fire. This is your return, not to who they wanted you to be, but to who you were before the world muted you. Speak louder, stand firmer, act bolder, because power doesn't wait. It doesn't beg. It doesn't hide. It walks into the room like it owns it and lets the world adjust. In the final part of this series, we enter the arena. You've rewired your identity. Now it's time to understand the rules of the real game. The ruthless, calculated world of power, and why refusing to play is the fastest way to lose. Power is a game, not a friendly game, not a game where everyone wins, a ruthless game. And the rules, they are not written in textbooks. They're written in history, in blood, in ambition, in the roar of those who refused to be silent. You don't get to opt out. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to play or not, you are already in the arena. Every interaction is a move on the board. Every relationship, a strategic alliance or a threat. If you refuse to play, you become a pawn, moved, sacrificed, forgotten. The world rewards the players who move deliberately, not the ones who wait politely. Let's shatter the myth. This game is not fair. It never has been. It never will be. People do not hand you power because you deserve it. They hand it to those who take it. The strong, the bold, the unapologetic, the humble. They wait in line. Watch the spoils slip away. Power isn't just about force. It's about perception. What do they believe about you? What story do they tell about your worth? Control that narrative, and you control the game. Speak with clarity. Move with intention. Show no hesitation. Make them know. You are not here to ask. You are here to command. Ruthlessness doesn't mean cruelty. It means focus. It means boundaries. It means refusing to let sentimentality or politeness weaken your position. You will lose some allies. You will upset some people. That's the cost of winning. Hesitate once, and the opportunity vanishes. Say less than you mean, and your value shrinks. This isn't about shouting the loudest. It's about measured impact. Knowing when to strike, when to speak, when to move. Being like a wolf. Silent, calculating, deadly. Not every move is a roar, but every move carries weight. Power demands sacrifice. Comfort is one of them. Approval is another. You will be misunderstood, feared, even hated. But these are marks of your rise, not failure. You will never be universally loved. You don't need to be. You only need to be respected. Here's your choice. Remain humble. Remain invisible. Remain safe. Or step forward. Own your power. Take your place at the table. The world doesn't owe you power. It rewards those who claim it. Today, you stand at a crossroads. Will you shrink back, or will you rise up? Remember, speak with conviction. Move with purpose. Never apologize for your power. Say it now. I will not apologize for my power. Let that be your battle cry. Power is not given. It is taken. Go take what is yours. If this message hit you hard, subscribe for more deep dives into power, strategy, and mastery. Remember, power doesn't wait. Neither should you.